Neighbors yelled he can't hear you, but the two officers kept shouting commands. Sergeant Christopher Barnes and Lieutenant Matthew Lindsay ordered Magdiel Sanchez to drop a 60 centimeters long metal pipe. Instead, the 35-year-old stepped from the veranda of the single-story house in suburban Oklahoma City, in the southern U.S. state of Oklahoma, apparently oblivious to the shouts. Oklahoma City Police Captain Bo Matthews answers a question during a news conference following the shooting of Magdiel Sanchez in Set, who was deaf, photo app with about 5 meters distance between them. Both officers discharged their weapons, one a gun, the other a taser. Sanchez was pronounced dead at the scene on Tuesday night, local time. The uniformed officers arrived at the address looking for the driver of a hit-and-run incident nearby. Sanchez was the son of the driver they were looking for. What they did not seem to know was that he was deaf. A neighbor, Julio Reyes, said he was yelling at the officers not to shoot Sanchez and that he was deaf. Photo app. This was the account Oklahoma City Police Captain Bo Matthews gave to reporters at a news conference on Wednesday. He also said that Sanchez's father was at the scene. Barnes, who fired the gun, was placed on administrative leave pending an investigation into the shooting. Neither officer was wearing a body camera and Sanchez had no apparent criminal history, Matthews said. In those situations, very volatile situations, you have a weapon out, you can get what they call tunnel vision, or you can really lock into just the person that has the weapon that be the threat against you, Matthews said. I don't know exactly what the officers were thinking at that point. When police arrived, they allegedly saw Sanchez on the porch with a 60 centimeters metal pipe covered in material and a leather loop at the end that police said fit around a wrist. Lindsay called for backup, Matthews said. Barnes arrived and the officers commanded Sanchez to drop the pipe. There are officers trained in sign language, Matthews said, but he was not sure if that included the officers at Tuesday's scene. As the incident unfolded, neighbor Julio Reyes said he and his wife were yelling at the officers not to shoot Sanchez and that he was deaf. Sanchez also had developmental disabilities and was nonverbal, so he communicated mostly with his hands, Reyes said. The guy does movements. He don't speak, he don't hear, so mainly it's hand movements that he does. That's how we communicated with him, Reyes said. I believe he was frustrated, trying to tell them what was going on. Neighbor Jolie Guevara said that whenever she and her husband were outside, Sanchez would sometimes stop by and write notes to communicate with them. He always had a stick that he would walk around with because there's a lot of stray dogs, Guevara said. Sanchez is one of 712 people that have been shot and killed by police in the U.S. in 2017, according to the Washington Post's Fatal Force database. Australian woman Justine Damond was shot dead by a Minnesota police officer earlier this year after she called to report a possible sexual assault, sparking outrage in Minnesota and Australia. And there have been other controversial officer-involved fatal shootings in Oklahoma recently. In 2016, Terrence Crutcher, an unarmed 40-year-old black man and father of 4, was walking toward his car with his hands above his head, when moments later white police officer Betty Shelby fatally shot him. Shelby was acquitted in May. The Washington Post.